Alrighty, so let's get back into things. So in the last video, you guys saw me struggle mightily with getting the line height changed in the paragraph. I was super tired, which happens. So after I did this video, I just came in and fixed this. So if you want to customize the line spacing, you can come here and select exactly, and then you can change the value here just to change the line spacing. So there's that. So in the next part of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and start working on laying out some of the other slides, and then we'll just get everything set up, and then in my next LinkedIn post for development, what I'll do is go over the actual JavaScript and whatnot that we need to make for the avatar selection, the randomized avatar and randomized name, and then some of the animation and things like that. So we'll just hold off on that stuff for now and just focus on getting everything laid out, and I can talk through this process. So I've made a decision that I'm going to put these cards all on the slide master and then animate them there because most of them are pretty similar. So you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 are the same, so that means we'll use one of the slide masters 6 times, and then we'll just have 2 other slide masters, one for the end and one for the beginning, and I think that sounds pretty good to me. So let's just go ahead and do that, and then that will leave us from duplicating this one like 5 million times. So I shall go into the slide master. So I hope everyone's day's been going pretty well. I'm just I just got out of work and just wrapping things up. So again, I want to be consistent with this. So I'm going to come here and then I want to export this rectangle because I want it to look exactly the same. So, and I also went ahead and created a folder for this. So I'll just say maybe right card, fetch, something like that. I don't know. Export that. And then what I'm going to do here is I will add this in and then I can duplicate it next time. So come here to picture, desktop, CS game, and bring this in. And then obviously it's going to be a little large here. So what I need to do is figure out what the height of this is. So the height of this is 5, 5, 5. So now we've got this here and we'll go middle, and then let's go to the very right hand side. So I always do these tutorials either on the weekend or after work, so usually I'm like pretty lethargic as I'm working on these. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So also remember, right click if you don't want people to read that with the screen reader. Then we're gonna untoggle this alt text. I'm gonna go close the view. And let's take a look at this. Obviously, not going to draw your eye in anything because it's not animated, but at least we're getting this stuff on the screen. And then you can't see the background here, but let's go here really quick. I don't think this works anymore. Nope. Let's go ahead, publish just for the sake of being able to see this. I always feel like that game show tune, waiting tune should be playing in the background when this happens. The waiting game. I guess, well, oh, there it goes. Well, that's going. Let's just grab this one because they're different. They've got different shadows. They're flipped. So I'm just gonna export this one, export selected. And then let's just call this left. To the left. Okay. Some other things here that we will want to grab is we want to group these because we want this as one image. So I'm going to group that. Oh, bananas. Bananas. It's because this little dude's not. Come on. I think it's because it's not above the outline here. Can we group this? Yes. And then let's, oh goodness, that little dot. Okay. Well, let's grab this first. And then it's avatar placeholder. The only thing I'm curious about, goodness me, the only thing I'm curious about with this is if this will directly line up with the code that I'm going to be using, because the code's going to generate this whole thing for us. So what I may consider doing is, if you can want to see here with the code that I created here, I have this outline. What I may do is just get rid of this outline on this one and then just use the storyline outline of a circle on top of this. And then it doesn't really need to be recreated, but we'll worry about that when we get there. Okay, so I saved that avatar and we got the thing published so we can take a look at it. But let me just save a few things before we take a look at it. So the next thing I'm going to save are these arrows. And these arrows are special, these icons here, because I have a shadow over top of them. So it kind of gives this effect of like they're kind of laid over top of this card. So if I double click in here, you can see I have a shadow on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export these really quick. So let's grab this group and then do like left arrow button. And something that you can do with these that I didn't do, but just to make your life a lot easier, is have all these buttons already pre-made in Storyline and import them in, and then you don't have to recreate them every single time, which is arduous. Where's, right, gosh, right here. I feel like the one thing that I always worry about when I'm doing these videos is if people are like judging the way that I'm doing things, like if I'm using shortcuts or not, or what I'm doing in life. Okay, and then this little guy is gonna be the like online offline kind of simulation thing. So I'll just also export that. So like offline indicator. And I think we're good. I can probably, I'll just do this one, away indicator. Something that I also mentioned about these indicators, which you'll see on like Instagram and even LinkedIn, is that these ones aren't accessible. So something that I think LinkedIn does and I think Instagram does is they don't just use colors to indicate the status of something. They also use like a shape. So I think in some of them you'll see like a extra circle when someone's online, or it just looks a little bit different. So that's something to consider when you're working on a project, especially if you're using colors to indicate things. It's always best practice to use something else to kind of back up what you mean, just from an accessibility standpoint. Okay, let's see, anything else? So I think that is all that we will export for now. The only other thing I might export is just like the ring by itself, but we can always come back to that. All right, so we want to check out that extra card that I added here. So here's my local file. I'm going to reload the page and voila, it's on the screen, but not where we want it. So that kind of stinks. So I want it to be positioned evenly with this. So I'm going to have to move it to be positioned. Another thing that you're going to notice here is there's kind of this edge around it. So because this game is going to be embedded in Rise, I'm not too concerned about the edge. If it weren't, something that I've seen other people do is, just to make it look more realistic, is fade out the edges of the card here so that it kind of looks like just on full screen. It looks more cohesive and not just like a straight cut off right there. So that's something else that you can also do. But because this is going to be embedded in Storyline or in Rise as an activity, I'm not going to worry about the edges. So now I'm going to go back to the slide master and think about my horrible choices here. Oh goodness, I don't want to do that. So I just want this one to be aligned with this one, but I don't want them both to move. I'm really bad at this. Okay, all right, we did it. I'm wondering what this would be like if I was like live streaming. I think it'd be kind of fun because then I'd at least have some people to talk to, not just like thinking through my decisions here. What a pain. What I could have done is just change the background color so I can see this a little bit better, but I love to see things full screen here. So yay, look at beautiful. All right, so last thing I'm gonna do on this page here is I'm going to just change the state of this. So when you press down or when you hover, the state's changed. So let's go ahead and do that. My always internal struggle with this is when someone hovers over something or presses down on something, should it get lighter or should it get darker? It's always an internal struggle. So for me, what I've been kind of doing is just basing it off of how well you can see the font inside with the color that the font is. So I'll probably do this one a little bit darker just because the font's kind of lighter. So let's do hover. And this is also a great time to have buttons pre-made and saved so that you can just import them in and not have to recreate them. Because the one thing like I always talk about is I hate making the same button over and over again. It's such a waste of time. So terrible. How much money could be saved just not remaking buttons? All right, so I've got slightly darker. I think there's also like best practices around the percentage of, darkening things on here, but we'll not worry about that because this is a fun personal project and I'm not going to take it too seriously. So I'm going to press OK, and you can see it's a little bit darker there. And then I'm not like against what this looks like, so I'm just going to go ahead and move forward and duplicate this for I don't know, what is it? You can do the drop down and see the states, but on down. So when someone's hovering over and pressing down, it's going to be the same color. So that's good. I'm going to save real quick. And then let's just change the background color a little bit so we can see the cards there. And then I'm going to preview this just so you can see the differences in the hover. What a terrible gray that is though. So you can see slightly darker. Actually, that's like probably too dark to be honest with you. Now I'm going to be nitpicking my always internal struggle here and make that like a little less dark real quick. Or else I'll have nightmares about it. I don't know if that's true, but does that even look darker? Yeah, it's a little bit noticeable. Subtlety. I don't want it to be too drastic. What am I doing? Sometimes I use shortcuts and sometimes I do things the hard way. I'm not quite, see, I don't even know why I grabbed that. I'm not quite sure why. So something else for these different states in Adobe XD, what I would plan ahead of time is the color for the different state changes. So that's important. Next page that we'll go on to is we'll just want to go back to the slide master and do another iteration of this, but with the card on this side. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we get to do the fun arrows. So the arrow buttons are going to be fun to do. And then we'll just go from there, I guess. Let's see. Okay. Slide master time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this if I don't screw my computer up first forever. Oh gosh, and then I forget that I can't do Command D on Windows computer. This is also my struggle. I'm a Mac user. I like die-hard Mac user here, and I'm not a fan of Windows and I don't know any of the shortcuts. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the left-hand side one. So picture, find my left card edge. Also got to make it 555 height, 555, and then take it. So this is the part that's going to be challenging because I don't know how much. I may eyeball it. No, that's not what I want to do. Oh, goodness. Okay, right middle. Then it's gonna move it. Okay, maybe we'll put it at the bottom. No. Okay. It's nice to have these line indicators if you can get them lined up correctly. Ugh, it's painful. I don't know why am I doing it like this here? Wow. Really, the day will really take it out of you. And then I think you could do like a nice grid background to just really like see where everything is, but I'm just eyeballing it for now. Look how beautiful and aligned everything is. It just makes me happy. It's easy on the eyes, you don't have to worry about it. So what I'm gonna do, because we want everything in the same place, we're gonna copy this. Oh no, wait, we're gonna duplicate this. And then I'm gonna change the layout. So let's change the layout to our new friend, this one. You can see the card here is like a little bit too over the line, so I'm gonna move it in a few pixels. It's still like a little big. Go back. So everyone's probably like, why are you wasting so much time just like making everything perfect? Well, it really makes the experience because when you think about experiencing an activity like this, what's happening is your focus should be on the content and it should be in learning the new thing and not in using it and trying to figure out how to use it, or not in a jarring experience of like a card being up here and then a card being up here and then trying to figure out where am I looking to read this, what am I doing. So the user experience, I just like to make sure that it's really consistent and then leave the challenging piece, in the story, the compelling piece in the story, or in the activity, or in, the things that really matter. And then just make the whole user experience really cohesive and just super easy to use and not jarring and not, difficult to read or difficult to find, so that the focus is really on the things that are most important. So our focus as designers is to make the thing easy to use and also to make sure the content works and the activities work so that the person can then go apply what they learned. So that's why it's super important to me. But I know a lot of people are always like, why? Why does it matter? So now let's go on to making the next piece. So this next piece here is you've clicked into this, you've begun your thing. Now the next piece is going to be in randomizing the avatar. So this is where you're going to create your avatar. So first create an avatar and then create a name that will go along with it. So let's change this to randomize avatar. And for this, we may I don't know if we should make the button overall like a little larger for some space. And then we'll just apply this to, oh, do I have them backwards? I always do this. I don't know how. Ugh. Okay, now I'll go to the right page. It's just so difficult because you, oh, what did I put? I don't even have the number. Um, 355. Oh my God, 35. No. Okay. It's always just so hard because you have the pressure of people watching you and you kind of feel like people might be judging you as you're doing something like this. So I'm always like, oh gosh, what did I do wrong? Okay, so now for this next piece, I'll just copy and paste this in. All the text, oh gosh, all the text in the same place as before. And then that's a lot less text, but I think we're gonna have to have room for the name here. So we can move that down. And then the buttons. I wonder what, ugh, no thank you. No thank you. Move that there. And then let's have the buttons in. Sounds like there's a motorcycle outside, so if you hear something weird, that's what that is. Okay, so let's start with the left arrow button. And as you can see, that looks ginormous, huge. So let's change that to 100 and see what that looks like. That's better. Let's go over here. So for this one, you can see the text field is slightly more condensed because the want to be is over here more. So this will give us more space for the buttons. Move this up more. Gorgeous buttons. New button. Oh, fudge. I put photos. And I shouldn't have put photos, and now my life is going to spiral because I have to wait for this to open and then close it out. I'm wondering how many people always accidentally click photos instead of pictures. Okay, left. And now I need right. And then 100. Come to the bottom. And, ah. And then this. Well, actually, let's change this so I can do change picture. And then we want to find that little guy, little person that we created. So change this. Oh my gosh, that was so perfect because you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so then that's in there. So then we want to do this. I don't like, so like one of the things I contemplated, I was like, what could be like a placeholder that looks minimalist? So this is what I did, but I have no idea if that's the right way. So if anyone has any great suggestions for like what a good placeholder would look like, please feel free to comment and let me know some kind of UI design or something that would look good for that. So we'll just do that for now. It's like not even this. It's gonna look ridiculous. And then we want this in the middle. Harmonious Sans regular semi-bold. And then that's not even semi-bold. What is this? Regular. Oh, so that's regular. I guess I could just do regular. And then these little guys, maybe I'll just have them be black. No, I did purple, and then the name winds up being purple, so that only makes sense in life itself. Struggle. Well, let's just take this. So I guess we'll do purple because that seems to be what it should be. We'll do these. I don't honestly even know where I got the idea for this text placeholder. I feel like it might be a little ridiculous. So like one of the best practices is don't make something up that people aren't going to know what it is. Like use something that already exists in like apps that people are already using, because people are going to look at this and like that's where their eyes going to go, and they're like going to be sitting there wondering, what is that, like what is that going to be? And we don't want them to do that. We want them just to know what it is so that they're not focused on that. So hopefully I can come up with something else to put there. All right, so we've got most of this together here. So now let me see, the next piece is, let's go to the accessibility piece. Tab order. Where am I going? Tab order. Let's check this out. So main picture, this is not a logo, so we'll say placeholder for avatar. Then we'll say placeholder for text. So when someone looks at these things, they should be like, oh, that's a placeholder for the text. And then this should just read what this is. This will be the randomize avatar button. And then we don't want this. What is this? Oh, that's that thing. Okay, we gotta go to the slide master, take that off. And then let's say this is the back arrow, and this is the next arrow or forward arrow. And then save. So if someone's on screen, they're gonna like, boop, I know what this is, a placeholder, another placeholder. Some text telling me what's gonna happen. Oh, this is where I can randomize the avatar that I'm getting. Something that I'm not gonna have pop up. And then do I wanna go back or do I wanna go next? And something I might consider is that the person maybe probably wants to go next first. So we'll put the next button in the screen reader first, and then if they so choose not to, what it'll do is do the back one. I don't know if that's the best, so if anyone has a good idea around that, definitely let me know. I'm just kind of getting used to creating more accessible projects, and I'm a total noob when it comes to that. So let's just go to the slide master really quick and amend my card. And maybe these are things that you want the screen reader to read. It's just, you know, it's about working with your users and seeing like what's going to be best for them. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do on this is I am going to change the states of these arrow buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this to hover. And I don't think I'm going to do one on press or on down. I'm just going to leave it be the normal state. So on hover, what I want to do, and what I really like to do, that's a really easy trick, is just to inch this up one space, so that when the person hovers, it kind of looks like it goes up. So it indicates like this is something that's actionable. So I'm going to click up one, and it's just really subtle. And you can make it a little more dramatic if you want. Duplicate this one, hover, and then up one. So what I'll do now is take a look at this. So you can see someone hovers, it's just really subtle. So maybe I'll inch it up one more. You never know until you try. But the important thing is that in some of these slides, you do things ahead of time and you test ahead of time before you duplicate, because it'll save you a little bit more time in the long run. Because if I made this decision later on 6 slides later, that would be a different story. And now even the one thing that I'm thinking about with this is because these buttons will be consistent across 6 or so slides, what I'll do is add these to the slide master probably. But let's go ahead and take a look at these real quick. You can see just a really subtle motion. You could even have the shadow change if you really want to. I'm gonna do even more, up more. You don't want it to be too dramatic or else it gets like really kitschy and doesn't look great. Okay, so now I'm gonna put these on here because they're gonna be consistent. Delete them from here. Voila. All right, so now what I'll do is reformat my background to be 100% transparent. I'll do that on this one too. And I'll publish after I save. So then, let's see. Oh, I forgot to add the little button there. So then for the rest of the project, what I will do is offline, I'll just go ahead, or off camera, I'll just go ahead and set up the rest of these slides. And then the next time that we chat, what we'll start doing is working on some of these interactions and, yikes, and we will put in the animations and just get the JavaScript going to randomize the names in the pictures. So actually, really quick, let's, oh, gosh, hold on. This is what happens when things are hiding behind other things. I am just over here like, give me a break, e-learning. So sorry for that brief pause, but so what I need to do, just want to do as a last thing here is to have this slide go to the next slide. So I'm going to say jump to and then select my next slide when the user clicks on this button here. So then you can see that. And it's also best practice to name your slides and just like arrange the layers and name them correctly as well. So that's something I would also do before duplicating anything. So just say randomize avatar. Okay, great. So let's take a peek. Go ahead and take a look at this, refresh. So you can see this here, you can see the edges, but we won't see that in Rise. Select begin. And you can see this screen here and you can see the little jumps that the buttons do. It's very subtle. Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoyed following along and I will see you in my next development videos.